Hey, what do you know? This is the Melvin Live Show, and how's everyone doing? Before I get into anything here today, I just want to say a big thank you to all of you. Today is November 30th, which means it's the last day of November, and November has just been an awesome month for me. Not only did I celebrated my birthday this month, my 48th birthday, I have also did a few things that I am really proud of. Number one is I have managed to keep up with writing one article a day. And the other thing was that I have already published three issues of my newsletter. And the newsletter focusing on helping you build a one person, 1 million old digital business. And the whole idea of the newsletter was actually to curate and to be able to put together a list of ideas that I myself have been experimenting and I have been working on it as well. And so I want to be able to share that with you. And so if you have not subscribed to the newsletter, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe to melvin.me, right? And just a quick note here, today it's also the day that I will be doing some migration because I have moved my website to a faster web hosting account. Plus, I've also upgraded my email newsletter platform itself. So there are a few things in the work, and including that, I'm also putting in certain things in terms of automation. So, I've told you about automation a couple of days back. In and and the thing is, I gotta eat my own dog food, right? So that is something that I will need to make sure that it's done. Okay, so back to our topic here today. The number one rule, right? The number one rule for what? The number one rule for the fact that if you are going to be looking at any kind of content, you definitely want to be able to, put up the um, content that meet this criteria. So let me just try this, all right? Yeah, so that that is the thumbnail that I have for you here today. So essentially, what we want to talk about is the number one rule of your content. So, what exactly is your content, and why do you need to create content? Well, the premise of this one person, 1 million old digital business goes back all the way to content, and the content is essentially the digital product that you have that is able to help you build and create this library of digital assets, right? And this library of digital assets, the whole premise behind this is number one, it's a codifying your expertise and to be able to digitize those expertise into and to be able to profit from that. So that's one key aspect of that. The other thing is that this digital assets will enable you to create ones, but continually reach out to new audience, continually enable you to reach out to new prospects, to able to get new leads, and also in some part to be able to complete the fulfillment of new orders. So that's why the idea about creating content, it's so crucial because you really really need to know what are some of the things that needs to go in there. Oh, see, I could do that. Did you know that? Gee, right, how do I get it back? Okay, so um, yeah, so in any case, this whole idea here is that you want to be able to. Oh, look at that. Sorry, I'm just experimenting with this. Wait, so how to make it bigger? Well, let me just try this, all right? Just bear with me. That's way too big. Okay, right. Oh, then it covers my face. Oh well, I mean, let's do this another time. All right. So the whole premise with creating your content really is that you want to be able to digitize your expertise, and by digitizing your expertise, you then able to use that digital assets and to be able to use that digital assets to a create continually create awareness, b to be able to continually enable you to generate new leads for your business, and C, to be able to help you complete some aspect of fulfillment for your business itself. Right. So that's essentially the premise of what we're looking at here. So the fundamental thing behind this whole process itself is that you want to be able to create content. And when we say create content, you know, what exactly are we looking at? So the best way to think about this is that what must your content do? Now, in there are three things that your content must do, right? Before anyone would want to watch it, anyone will want to pay any kind of attention to it. So there are three things. Number one is that the content in and of itself must be able to solve a problem, right? At the end of the day, the content that you have, it must be able to solve this problem. So when I am creating this piece of content, the question I'm constantly asking myself is, how would this content benefit the people who are watching? Well, the answer to that is that if you are thinking about creating content, but you're not quite sure like what content to create or how to create or how to position the content, are you just going to talk about yourself or are you going to talk about what you did today or what? How are you going to do it? Well, the answer to that question essentially is that you will have to think of whether this piece of information is able to solve a problem, right? So first it must be able to solve that problem, because without being able to solve that problem, it's just another random piece of entertainment or a piece of content itself. Sure, I mean, you can go out there and create entertaining content, but that's not what we're after here on this channel. We want to build a business, right? So, first and foremost, it must be able to solve a problem. Now, second thing that it must be able to do is that it must really create that change for people, right? So the change could be seen in the form of a transformation. So, for example, after you have consumed this piece of content, the change or the transformation that you will have is that you will then now know what to do when you're creating content. The question that you'll be constantly asking yourself is, what problem does it solve? And so it transforms the whole manner or the way that you do your work, right? And so, A, it must solve a problem. B, it must be able to change or transform the person who is consuming that piece of content. And C, which is the most powerful, is that there must be a way to drive this person who is consuming the piece of content to want to take down notes and want to take action, right? And so, in order to encourage and to enable this person to take action, the fundamental thing that we want to do is that we want to make sure, yeah, we want to make sure that there are some verbs in our statement itself. For example, right now, what I'd like you to do is take out a piece of paper, and if you have always been wanting to create content, but you're not quite sure how exactly to go about this, I want you to take out a piece of paper right now and write down these three things, right? So write down these three things that every time you create or you're thinking about a piece of content or you have an experience and you want to convert this into a piece of content, these are the three things that you must pay attention to. So, what are those three things? Make sure you grab a pen and paper and write them down right now. Number one, you want to ask yourself before you create the content, what problems does that solve? Right? So let's say you have an experience today. And if I can give you an example, the experience that I had today was that in my training of a group of people in terms of effective communication skill, one of the primary thing that the participants talked about was how they could use words. Mind you, these people are not native English speakers. So they're talking about how they can use words in their email and their conversation to be able to get the other person to see their point of view and to be able to act on what they are suggesting, right? So you want to be able to use words, both written and spoken, to be able to influence people, right? That's fundamentally what you want to do. Now, in order for you to do that, right? So when I had that experience itself, I want to ask myself, right? Okay, this experience, how can I convert it into a piece of content? And this has led me to ask myself this question: what problem does it solve? Well, the problem that it solves is that people want to write something, people want to say something, but they're not quite sure how to say or what to say in that piece of content or that piece of email or in their speech to be able to influence other people. They're not quite sure how to do that, right? And so the solution to that is that they want to think of these three things. So number one is you want to ask yourself, what problem does this solve? Number two, number two thing that you have to ask yourself is, what change would this do for them? You know, what change would this piece of content do for them? Now, the change could be, now when I am sitting down and writing out a piece of content, I know exactly what is the structure that I could follow. I know what is the formula, or I know what is the intent that I must create my article based on, right? And so what I want to do is to be able to transform you so that when you are writing a piece of content or an article or recording a video, you already have in mind what are the things that you want to say and what the kind of change that you want to make for the audience who is consuming that piece of content. So it's no longer just I'm writing as a form of expression. Sure, you can do that, but how about a form of expression that also makes an impact on the people who reads it? I think that's even more powerful, right? And the third thing that you want to be able to factor in your content itself is to be able to inspire or motivate action, right? There's a ton of people who would consume all this content but never took a single piece of action, right? I mean, that's just how it is. And so, what you want to do is you want to be able to say that, okay, I want to be able to get people to consume this content because it's helped them solve a problem and tell them what is the change that they are going to see. And finally, what exactly do they need to do? Now, the last part here is what most content are missing. They tell you what to do and why you should do, but they leave out the what you should do. And so, what I want to do is I want to be able to include this part here because I believe that I am going to give everything away, everything I know, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to help you achieve your 1%, 1 million or digital business. Now, if I'm able to do that, then your success is my success, right? And so I want you to, like I mentioned earlier, I want you to take out a piece of paper and I want you to write down these three things. Number one, what problem does it solve? Number two, what transformation will it make? And number three, what actions do you want them to take? So, with that itself, you would need to know that what is the purpose of your content. So, every piece of content has a purpose, right? Every piece of content has a purpose. What you want to do and what you are responsible for is to make sure that your content solve a problem, tell people what to expect, and tell them what to do. Now, I am sure you have found this episode useful, especially for those of you who are, just starting out in terms of creating your own content and you want to have some kind of a guide or some kind of a structure to help you go along in terms of what are the content and how to create your content and what structure should it be. This is the structure you want to follow, my friends. And if you found this video to be helpful, please go ahead and like this video so that it helps other people discover this video and you could help them benefit from that. And of course, you are doing me a great favor because that is a major morale boost for me, right? And the other thing is that if you want more videos like this that talks about building this 1% 1 million or digital business that we focus on creating the assets, automating your processes and setting up a system to accelerate the growth of your business, then definitely you want to subscribe to this channel. And with that, I thank you for watching. And if you got any question, feel free to leave it in the comments. I read every single piece of comment right all the way back to episode one itself. So if you leave a comment, but make sure no spammy comments, all right? I have no qualms in terms of reporting and blocking anyone who leaves a spammy or even a snarky remark. All right. Here, we want to create a community whereby everyone is able to be positive, appreciative, and encouraging. Right. And if that is not the way you operate, then please go somewhere else. All right. All right. And so, with that, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.